Here we go. All right, welcome everybody. This is DIM Studios. My name is Eli. We have my co-host Daniel here.
What's up?
And we have our guests here, my brother Steven and my brother Carlos.
What's up?
So this is season 2, episode 2. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, fellas, for taking the time to join us today. So the reason I brought Carlos on and Steven was because the one time I was doing the podcast with Damon and Dion, I was trying to explain to them what it was growing up and working as a kid with my mom and dad. So I couldn't really explain myself what we did. And so I just cut that whole part out. Remember, I cut that whole part out because it just didn't make sense to them. They were just kind of confused about it. But I was telling them the time that we used to go to work with my mom in the tomato fields.
Yeah.
We used to go to work with my mom in the tomato fields, and I was telling him the story that one time we got raided by the Border Patrol. So we got raided by the Border Patrol, and I was probably like 6 years old. That's probably like in the late 80s, no?
No, you had to have been younger because I don't remember.
I know I was about 11 years old, so
No, yeah, I was about 6 then.
I was 11 because I know the legal age was 12, and they kept asking my mom for my work permit, and she's like, "Oh, we'll get it next week."
But,
And
dude, you always looked older than your
But
age.
we were all there though.
You probably looked
helping.
like you were 18.
We were all there helping anyways.
well, I mean, most of the time you guys sat in the station wagon and
No.
yeah.
From what I remember, I was freaking picking tomatoes, dude.
It's like I was working.
You were picking tomatoes after
was making ketchup.
the migra raided the place,
After
and
the
everybody
border-
was gone. So they gave us all their buckets. So they had all of us go get the buckets
Yeah.
so we can get our car punched.
So what I remember from that incident was that it was like a 80s movie where the Border Patrol
Right.
came in their Broncos and just out of nowhere
Was
and
it like
everybody just scatters.
Was it like Born from East LA running down the
Yeah,
hill?
exactly, dude.
That's actually
That's
the
it.
reference you said.
That's
day.
exactly. It was like Born in East LA. And then I remember they're like asking, so we were good. And then maybe like us and like one other person stayed that had papers. And then after they were gone, some of them came out of the tomato.
Well, there was
from the
first,
fields
there was,
hidden.
There was 4 crews, and every crew had 24 workers in each crew, plus the guy driving the tractor and then the supervisor.
Yeah.
Well, when they raided us, literally there was multiply 24 times 12. There was really only like about 12 of us left. Even the supervisors and the foremen were running to the hills.
What the
And the first time that happened, I saw everybody running. I got up and I started running, and my mom's like, "Where are you going? Come on, mom! Let's go.
We started running.
I was freaking out. I don't know what the hell was happening.
My mom's like,
if I have papers.
my mom's like, I'm a U.S. citizen, tonto.
Come on, you got a green card. And I was like, I didn't know what was going on. I just started running, and she stopped me from.
Yeah, I don't
from
blame
running.
you. If I see people running, I'm running too.
You're gonna run that
Yeah,
same way.
screw that.
It's like George Lopez says, you see a line, you're like, get in line. I don't know why. We just get in line.
Because literally, you see a bunch of trucks, cars, vans, and then a freaking airplane coming into the
shoot.
field
Yeah.
all at the
Helicopter.
same time. Well, I don't remember the helicopter, but for sure the airplane was up there because the airplane was guiding the people, the agents down where to find them.
Oh,
Where everybody was.
Yeah.
But there wasn't anybody else working like close by. It was just you.
It was
guys?
out in the
We were
fields.
just out in the middle of the fields and everything was just all tomatoes. So we just kept jumping from field to field. So
Tomatoes.
yeah.
That was when ICE was just doing all these crazy raids on everybody in California.
And it wasn't illegal back then to have
Yeah.
workers, undocumented workers. There was no e-verify or none of that stuff. So even like I said, even the foremen and supervisors were illegal. They were running too.
So the other thing I remember was having we would take after the bucket was full, we'd take the bucket over to the truck.
I would have been picking everybody's punch cards.
Yeah, so they would
I did all these.
they would
I'd be
they
picking
would
them
dump the bucket, and then you had a punch card, and you get paid by the bucket. So they would punch your card,
yeah.
and you would get so much money for each bucket. But
It wasn't
that
very
was
much. So it was only like 50 cents a bucket.
That's crazy.
That's what I'm saying. All the guys that were running, I would have picked up their cards.
No,
dude, they took it with it.
What they did is I went and got all their buckets, and they were punching our cards. So
we took credit for their buckets.
for their buckets, especially the ones that were full. Like
So the other thing, you remember when my mom, she would bring pretty much a whole meal, like it was like a pan of frijoles, a big old thing of stack of tortillas and
drinks.
and we would just eat there, dude. It was insane. Like it was crazy how I remember all of that. And I was if you were like 11, that was probably like 6, 7 years old.
Well, yeah, because I was born in 72, so 11, that'll be what, 83?
In 83?
Yeah, 83, 84.
So early 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
So you're saying the reference of 80s movie is literally in the 80s.
Born in East LA.
probably just. I wonder what year that movie was. I gotta figure out. What you were
I just think it's crazy that you guys were able to work at 12 years old.
Yeah, you would get a
Well, we
summer
weren't
permit.
able to, but
No, you were.
Yeah, like
You go to the library and they'll give you a permit to work for just the summertime when you're off school.
87.
So,
in '87. Oh, okay, so that wasn't even out yet.
oh, the movie.
I think they saw us and then
And then it was funny because they would rate that
the movie.
They would rate the place, and like I said, everybody, like maybe just 12 of us out of the 4 crews that were there, would stay there and just basically just sat down after we emptied the buckets and wait for the foreman to come back, and they were literally just like a river area with no water. It's just like all the shrubs and the trees, and they would just disappear in there, and then there would be a bunch of migrant immigration. They probably would take only like about maybe 10. And then they would come out and they kept asking the owners, like, where they at? And go, they're in there somewhere. Go find them. And they would literally only take like 10 people. And the funny thing is that 2 days later, those 10 people were back already there working
back to
again.
work.
Yeah. Oh, they only took me to Tijuana, so it didn't take me that long to get back.
and the owners wouldn't get in trouble.
Oh, no. That back then, there was nothing like that to make the owners liable for any of that. And go, hey, they show up to work, we give them a paycheck. They give us a false social security. He goes, we're not experts. We can't identify if there's a real one or a bad one.
That's crazy.
There was no E-Verify back then.
And then one thing I remember I got the habit of doing, because I seen some dudes doing it, is they would grab the tomatoes and they would use the tomatoes to clean their hands for some reason.
The same tomato.
So then I didn't even know if that was even beneficial or if it actually cleaned your hands, but because I saw them doing it, I'd be like, ya terminamos, okay. Squish a tomato and clean your hands.
Well, the milky stuff that the plant would put on, it would be all sticky.
Oh, it was
and so
sticky.
you'd be trying to wash it with soap and it wouldn't come off. And then that's how they taught it. It goes, use the same tomato and the tomato will clean your hands. And sure enough, it was
There you go.
they cleaned it up.
Hey, Daniel, next time you get something stick in your hands,
Yeah.
just
Put more
I
of
used to
that.
know that when you burn yourself, echas tomate.
Oh,
or like
really?
an egg
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, that helps
Tomate.
too.
Yeah.
And then you're asking that we were able to work that young because we lived in a labor camp growing up. My parents were migrant workers, so we'd go live in a labor camp. We would go work at the apricot fields, apricot orchards. So even at a young age, dude, I was there probably like 10, 11 years old. I would
Well,
go
we're
work with
younger.
him.
I worked with you.
You went to work with us too?
Yes.
I don't remember you going to work with us.
I went.
Well, you got first of all explain the labor camp because they're gonna think it's
I know,
it's a split.
They used to beat us and swat us. and-
Oh, poor me,
Chanclas.
Mexicans. They had to go
We
to
were
a
at a
labor
we were at a labor camp.
I was the
They
one that
had
would go
whips.
with you. Carlos never went with you.
But you went
I
like
went with
later
you.
when it was me, you, and Elva.
No, Alba never went.
At what point we were all together with the Lucateros, and that's when you remember you slice your fingers.
Yeah, that was just me and you. And
we were
Luis. He
slicing
wasn't
our
there yet.
fingers all the
he wasn't
time.
there yet.
Wasn't
No,
just
but that time, like I don't know what I was doing, and these knives are kind of curved,
Yeah.
so you can cut the apricot in half. You take the pit out, but I don't know what the hell I did, and I sliced my finger, and it was just like it's like everybody was like, "Oh, like, ay, pobrecito," like, and I was like, "Ugh."
Echate tomate.
And then somebody started. I know, no, somebody started. I don't know if you remember this. Somebody like got their leather belt and started like scratching it and putting whatever bits of leather like to stop the bleeding. I remember specifically they were doing that. I don't know why.
I don't remember.
I don't know.
Maybe
I was-
I would have said pee on it and it'll stop the bleeding.
Dude, I remember sometimes we didn't have a ride to go to work, and we would have to walk over there, or even we didn't have a ride back, and we'd have to walk back up the hill. Where
But we always walked though.
not
We never got a
always.
ride.
It wasn't even-
We
it
got
wasn't
a
even
ride
that far, though.
from my aunt, from mi tia. What was it, Silvia?
Oh, see, that's what I'm saying. You're talking
Yeah,
about
further-
when we were
further
living in Gilroy.
Gilroy,
No,
yeah.
this was in Hollister.
No, she never gave us.
But
a
we
ride.
were in the labor camp at that point.
Yeah, we weren't in the
Yes.
labor camp when Matias Silva started taking us. We weren't in the labor
I have my
camp.
memory. I guess it's a dream.
No,
I
because
love how Steven goes, yeah, when I was working, and you guys are like, you never worked.
So when we used to go down the hill into the apricot orchard or
Yeah.
trees or whatever, and we were underneath this ramada, this
Yeah.
metal structure, and they would come and they put these long wooden tables.
It's like a piece of plywood.
Yeah.
And we would have to cut, and we would have to fill that table up in order for us to get our timesheet stamped. So every time we would have a table full, and then after a certain amount of stacks, venía el forklift, forklift would come, pick up the tables, and then take them out to an open field, and they would dry them out.
No, you're remembering something else. What they do is they bring the plywood. They do.
I remember what I saw.
But first, they put them in the oven. They put them in the oven
I never
to
saw
dry
the
them
oven.
out, and then they would put them in the fields after they have been dried out.
Okay.
Because you can smell that. I don't know if you remember the sulfur from the ovens.
I don't
What
remember
you do is-
the
What they would do is they would cut the apricot in half, pit it, and then put them in those tables. And some contractors will pay you per table, and others
Dude, we
will
would
pay you
always
by
save
the box.
Yeah, others would pay you by the box
The
or the
seed-
table.
$2 for a box, and it'd take you almost 2 hours to do one
whole
box.
thing,
What
dude.
the heck?
So you're working for
And
$1
it's
an
two
hour.
of us. It's two of us on that one box.
Yeah.
So it's like you're having to split that.
But we would put the seeds in a can. Wonder what they did
Yeah.
to the seeds.
I don't know.
Maybe
Maybe
like just
they're
a
using.
I hear the seeds
Regrow 'em.
I heard the seeds are beneficial, like health wise. Like,
But
the
we
seed
we
juice.
did when we were doing the apricot and we did peaches too for a while.
I
But
remember
the peaches one was I think it was just me and Elva. We'd go to Morgan Hill
I remember that.
and work up there, and that's where my tia Silvia used to.
I
take
remember
us.
my tia Silvia. Was sometimes we would have to get in the trunk because she would have her family and people with her.
Nah, fool, that was Morgan
Which-
Hill.
which-
That
I
was
made it
Morgan
up.
Hill,
Which
right?
tia,
That wasn't
which
Hollister.
tia Silvia are you talking about?
De mi tío Gavino.
Tio Gavino.
Oh,
Dude, I remember.
I'm telling you,
You know
okay,
why I
you're
remember?
probably confusing them both.
Hold on.
You
You know
probably
why-
went with the other one and went to both of them.
No.
Hold on, because I'm telling you, when we would go to the one in Morgan Hill, that's when my tia Silvia used to take us. It would be me, Elva, and I guess you, because I don't remember you going.
I never went to Morgan
He
Hill.
was in the trunk.
I know.
Okay, and you're right. We used to have to sit way in the back to go.
No, I'm telling you. Okay, so what I remember, and I know it's not a dream. I mean, obviously it happened to me. Is we would literally walk sometimes or get a ride. Mi tia Silvia. Sometimes when she couldn't fit us in the car. She would open up the trunk because it was
Yeah.
literally down the hill.
I know what you're talking about.
And we would sit in the trunk with the trunk open and then she would drive us back all slow.
In Hollister?
So, yes, in Hollister.
No, she
So-
never. No, it wasn't.
Tia Silvia never lived in Hollister.
Hold on. So, well, she picked us up. So the time that I remember is when the 89 earthquake.
We'll have to ask Elva to confirm on that
right.
one.
So where on the estaban los FEMA camp trailers que me han puesto ahí arriba. Remember those?
Yeah.
Way in the back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in the back.
Way up past
It was
the
during
baseball
that
field.
Yes, it was during that time that I remember that all that went down. When we used to go work.
Maybe it was after you didn't come anymore.
No,
Oh,
'cause it
no,
was already
me and Luis had
87.
Me and Luis had come over here to Yuma to start school.
Yeah.
And then a couple of months later is when you guys got hit with the earthquake. We
Yeah,
weren't there.
in 89. They got hit with the
So
flood.
then that was probably.
As a matter of
later
fact,
than-
the labor
But
camp.
what I'm talking about is when me and Luis used to go, and Carlos sometimes.
Yeah, this was after they left.
Yeah. So then you're.
Hollister.
Oh,
Or-
yeah, they're
or
probably
Yuma.
talking about another incident.
And that labor camp,
already been part of the workforce.
I don't know if you know, Daniel, that labor camp is in Hollister. Those orchards that they're talking about, the apricots, that's where they filmed the movie La Bamba.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's the other thing I was gonna bring up.
Yeah.
So
I was there. Not just kidding.
no, so the director of La Bamba, his son I went to high school with him. We went to high school together.
Oh no way.
I don't remember his name, dude. I have to look it up. But we went to high school together, and I've known him all through high school. And I remember I don't know if do you remember the movie?
Yeah, I remember.
So in the movie, the part where kind of in the beginning when they're in the orchards and then they're showering and you got the two kids in the water tower looking at them.
yeah.
He's the little chubby kid up on the top.
Oh,
That's the director's son. He's a friend of mine from in high school. I don't remember, but yeah. So in that same area where we used to work, that's where they filmed that movie.
And then when they're running up that hill with the guitar y todo, that's going like up in the hill where we lived.
Kind
Up
of in the area where we
Well,
live.
no. Well, it's kind of there.
further down the street, more down.
Kind of, guys. I said
Like I'm gonna say, like Steven, the way I remember. Anyways. No, but in that movie where they're running up the hill, there's a little yellow school. That used to be the South Side.
O.C. Johnson. No, Southside School.
O.C. Johnson.
that's a
Wrong
Yuma
school.
fool.
We're here in Yuma.
When I remember,
I remember it was.
Well, I
Southside.
remember it. O.C. Johnson.
So
no,
that
it was
was-
Southside School.
That school, the year before we
Bulldogs.
started going to the camp, they closed that school and they opened one like about half a mile down the road. So if we would have gone there a year before, we would have gone to that school because everybody in that labor camp during the summertime, either you worked or you go to summer school.
Went to summer school.
You couldn't stay. You couldn't stay there at the
Either or.
houses. You had to go either or. And if you were in age of working, they preferred you to go work instead of going to summer school because they know that you can just stay there or hide in the house.
Because you're Mexican, go to work.
But that school, what they did, they just painted it because it was like 3 or 4 years had been abandoned. So they painted it and they took a video of them running up, and it's that south side.
No, it's driving. It's driving in his bike.
in the motorcycle.
No, they're
Yeah,
running
it doesn't
up,
come
dude.
up. No.
Well,
Now
oh my God! Look at the. We'll
riding-
have,
I remember.
we'll have to look at the clip.
Listen, he's riding his motorcycle and he goes past the school.
Yeah.
Well,
No, don't they
might
stop?
be-
They stop, get up,
No.
and then they leave.
No, he's driving past
I
the
think
school.
we're having
That's when they're running up the hill. You
the
can see that.
Mandela effect. We're having the
can see
Mandela effect. He was from a different.
Talking about Mandela?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Modelo.
Modelo.
Modelo?
I said Mandela effect.
We're not drunk, fool.
He had Modelos before he
I
came.
said
over here.
Mandela.
So if you look at that school, it got damaged too by the earthquake in '87 or prior to
89.
that.
89.
Was it '89?
Yeah.
The school, half of it, it's if you look at it, it's kind of tilted as well. I don't know if you guys noticed
the
that.
movie got filmed in '87. The earthquake was in '89.
No, but what I'm saying is that if you, I don't know how it got damaged, but if you look at it, it's sideways. It's not straight.
It was the vibration of the motorcycles.
No, it's when they were running up. The camera guy was kind of
Yeah. Dang, 89 is when I was born.
Were you?
October 89.
I was
October
12.
89.
I was 12 and '89 during that earthquake.
So explain the labor camps. What was a labor camp?
the one in Hall. There's one in Hollister and there's one in Gilroy. That's like 14 miles away from each other. And what it is designed to. It's a government housing designed to bring migrant workers during the season of harvest. So they would have a lot of people from Texas would come down, a lot of people from Yuma, a lot of people from other parts from California. They would go and live in those labor camps while the lettuce, because that area had lettuce, cucumbers, apricots, peaches, apples, nuts, garlic, because Gilroy is the capital of the
Onion.
garlic. Onions,
Garlic capital.
the garlic capital.
Cucumbers.
Would they charge you guys to live in the?
Well, it was only like, I think my
It
mom,
was like $25 a month.
it was like $25 a week.
Oh, a week. Yeah.
for the
yeah.
family or
The
just
family.
Yeah, the whole family.
Dang.
And these are little houses.
It was like a little 2-bedroom house.
It was, there
to
were 2 and 3 bedrooms.
and
We
3 bedrooms.
started in a 2-bedroom. My mom paid like $23 a week, and everything was included. They had
bed,
furniture, they had
Water.
everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
no utilities.
Dang, that's crazy.
And then it was between June and October, and that's the only time that camp was open.
And would you guys as a family like juntan el dinero? Like everybody would just pitch in the money?
$25 a week.
No. You mean working there?
Yeah.
Yeah, we work, and my mom and dad would get the checks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We didn't see anything.
They would give us maybe $5.
Dude,
Right.
I'd get a check of like $100 and straight to my mom.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. And like I said, it was just seasonal. Most of it was just during the
And then you guys would come back to
Summertime.
Yuma and go back.
Yeah.
La corrida.
la corrida.
corrida.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And it was crazy because when we would go to summer school there, in where the labor camp is, above that hill, there's another hill above the labor camp. We were already on a hill, but above that hill, there's like
Richmar, no? Or Rich?
it was a residential. I forgot what it was called. It was a residential area up there, but it was
Big old houses.
like private
Yeah,
housing,
gated
a gated
entrance.
community. So it was a lot of white folks were living up there. So what
Caucasians.
some of them would go to the school as well.
Yeah.
Huh?
So that we'd be like a big old group. Oh, here come all the labor camp kids.
Oh,
We'd be Like
really?
a bunch of
Oh, so they would be the
Mexican
same
kids.
school.
Yeah, a bunch of Mexican kids with like all these white
Hey,
kids.
but we taught them a lot of Spanish.
yeah.
¿Qué onda, güey?
And then,
Dude, I got suspended from that stupid school because one time I just said "ay a la madre,"
Yeah.
and then somebody said like, "Did you just cuss?" Like I was like, "Nah," and then they
talking about my mother.
freaking suspended me for a day.
It was the principal's name was Pavlovich.
Pavlov.
Pavlovich.
Pavlovich.
Mr. Pete.
He
Mr.
looked like
Pete.
a big Russian dude, and he always smoked his pipe. The whole school smelled like pipes.
Yeah,
No
dude, smoke a
way.
pipe
Oh, he can smoke in school?
Well,
This was
in
the
his
80s,
The
office.
principal.
in the office.
Not during in the classroom, nothing. But the school was so small that his office, is literally down the hall from the rooms,
Yeah,
and you
you
can smell
can
it.
smell
You
it.
smell it everywhere, and then in his clothes and everything. And I mean, for the most part, he was pretty cool. I got suspended 2 times, I think. One time,
You got suspended too?
yeah,
The hell?
Yeah, he's Mexican. What do you expect?
But that was because we would start school there on the regular school year. We would start there because we were going to leave until October. So we would start their school in September until October. And one time the bell rang and I had a soccer ball in my hand and I kicked it. You, Carlos, it was a Friday. Carlos, don't bother coming on Monday.
What the hell?
I was like, okay. And the other time we were in the...
And it's not because you're Mexican.
Carlos like, what if I bring you tobacco?
Don't get me wrong. And the other time I was in class and I got a paper and I bundled it and there was a trash can at the other side of the well, not that far, but I threw the trash can and he happened to see me. And again, it was another Friday. Carlos, don't bother coming on a
Oh, he used to do the essays, remember? Oh, give me a 200
Yeah.
word essay, a 500 word essay.
They make you write the same thing
Yeah.
over and over.
Yeah.
So what would you tell like your parents? Like,
just whatever happened. Oh, he told me not to. Mom, he just doesn't like me or something, you know.
Well,
Not that I did something wrong.
to be honest, some of that is true because that happened to us one time where we had a teacher that was as
Yes.
strict as hell, and he was, I don't know if he was Mexican, but he was Latino also, but he was one of those racist Latinos towards little labor camp workers. You know what I mean? And one time he made us stay after school. It was me. Was it you too, Steven?
No.
Oh, okay. So it was me and like four of
good
us.
boy.
It was like four of us. He was just being a prick, dude. So he made us stay after school, so we missed the bus. So then he had us kneel down and put our hands behind our back and put our face on the wall. So we had to put on the wall like that. He had us like that for like a while. And then after we were like that for a while, he's like, okay, you guys can leave now. So then we're like, dude, we already missed the bus. How are we gonna get home? So we're like, well, ni modo. Almost like, let's go walking.
It was what?
No
Oh, yeah,
way.
good. 4 miles.
It was far.
Yeah, it was pretty far.
3, 4 miles.
So we started walking.
And then it was up. Then you had to go uphill to get to the camp.
So we started walking, and it's just this windy road along this hillside. And well, you remember the movie, right? La Bamba?
Yeah.
We walked that road. So we started walking, and then every time we would see a car come by, we would jump into the bushes and hide because we thought we were gonna get in trouble.
yeah.
And then the principal drove by, and then he saw us. So then he pulled over and I was like, "What are you guys doing?" And then we told him what happened. Well, the teacher, I forgot his name. He's like, "Yeah, he made us stay afterwards and did this, and that." And he's like, "Oh, really?" He's like, "Get in the back of my truck." So we all got in the back of his truck, and he took us to
immigration.
yeah. He's like, "Finally,
Get rid of these three.
Get rid of these
Special
guys.
delivery.
these guys."
But then again, you remember Miss Bonilla? The teacher's aide?
Yeah,
The Mexican
yeah.
teacher's aide. Everybody had the hots for her. You know, it's-
Why wasn't she chubby? Oh, never mind. I remember what you're talking about. No, but let me finish my story. So, we'll get back. I'm thinking of somebody else.
oh, okay. I don't remember that one.
Yeah, you probably don't. So he picked us up, took us home, and then the following day, like we seen the teacher again, and then after that, he wasn't there anymore.
Oh,
They canned him. They got rid of him.
Wow.
that's crazy.
From Southside?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's crazy. So, like, obviously, you guys would work, and when you're not working, you go to school.
You had to be in summer school.
So, what, like,
But it wasn't all the time, dude. There was probably like a 1 month that we were just there.
But the summer school was in the
Like
all
freaking
summer.
being trouble. That's what I'm saying. The summer school was only for like 30 days.
Yeah.
It wasn't that long.
It was
so what
during
would you
the-
guys do when you guys weren't like working and going to school?
Well, they had a basketball court. They had a baseball field. They had like a little playground.
Oh, in the camp.
Yeah, in the camp. So we would go out there play baseball, play basketball, and
Well, there was 2 levels on the same. You would come in, and then there was a bottom level, and then you ride up the second level of the hill, and there was houses on top and the bottom. But it was all in the same labor camp. There was only one entrance and one exit, and there was at that time there wasn't a park yet, but eventually they made a park down at the bottom.
so I don't know if you remember this, but down the hill on the other side of the labor camp, there was a junkyard. There was a huge junkyard over there. And one time we got this motorcycle with no motor in it, and we pushed it. We went over there and I don't know how we found it, but we pushed it. We pushed it up the hill, and we got it all the way to the top of the hill where we were at. And because there was like a street that went down the hill, we would take it. We like 3 of us would get on it. We'd like go down this hill. You don't remember that?
I remember.
Skateboard too.
Skateboard.
Bikes.
Everybody
We
would
go down that hill down with
had
skateboards.
scratches, yeah.
And then there was also a hillside, so we would also get cardboards. We would get cardboards, and then we would slide down with the cardboards down the hills and stuff. So,
That's,
I mean, it was some crazy memories back then.
When we were there, we went like 8 years, I think.
Yeah, dude. And then
We started in 85, I think was the first year my mom, because back then it was a lottery. So basically, if you had gone a house the previous year, you automatically qualified as long as there was no issues. But if there was people that never came back and the house was vacant, so people would get in line days before they opened the camp
To apply.
and they would go one at a time and see who qualified, and then you would get the housing. And that's how my mom did. We went out there like 2 or 3 days, and they stayed in the truck for 2 or 3 days until we got the last house available. And then every year after that, we started going. I think 89 was the last year we were there.
Yeah, 89 was the last year.
After the earthquake.
After the earthquake. 89, 90.
Yeah, we came.
We were there. Yeah, because 90, we were there in 90.
90
and that
was the last year.
we
Yeah,
were
90 was the last
90.
year. Because after the earthquake, we came one more year. We went back in 90. And then that's when we stayed. That's when we stayed. Because we stayed in the three bedroom house. And then we had to move down to the bottom of the hill to another house. And then that's when they got the house on, we moved in with Ed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pacheco Pass.
Pacheco Pass. That's another part of the movie. When he's riding his motorcycle, that's Pacheco Pass.
What?
Yeah. When he's riding his motorcycle, he's going towards where
Baños.
the apricots
Casa de
were.
Fruta.
He's driving through there, and you see a sign that says Pacheco
it?
Pass.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
I haven't noticed that one.
That's what I'm saying. I don't remember him driving past the school. I remember the Pacheco
Yeah.
Pass sign.
Yeah,
'cause
that's
where we
when the
used to
school
live.
gets shown when he drives past it.
I thought they stopped there for a little bit and then they kept going. They stopped in front of the school.
Nah, bro.
You
Modelo
have to look
effect.
at it again.
That's when they were running up the hill.
Modelo effect.
Well, down at the where he's talking about the junkyard, literally there was a bunch of old cars, probably classics back then.
That's,
They
when
were
these, that's where these guys would find all the Playboys
yeah.
and stuff.
No, not the
No, that was at the church.
Tanya church.
No, it was that water tower right next to the house.
Oh, there was
The
an
empty
old
water tower.
old water tower that we would jump the fence and sneak in there, and then guys would bring
had a
magazines and
Get
cigarettes.
Hustler and all that. Penthouse.
But it was like a little group of everybody that we all got together. Then my dad had a station wagon. It was an orange one. They said La Mandarina, and I would get in the morning. I would be driving, and my brother Luis would be. We would drive through in the morning. We would drive through the camp because, like I said, we lived up on the top of the hill. And as we're going through the downhill and all the way to the exit, by the time we were out, the station wagon was full of all our friends, and then we would all go work together. Or if there was no work, we would go to that junkyard. And we go find whatever aluminum parts we can find so we can recycle to go play video games and buy.
I got a story about that. Because we used to collect cans. So when we weren't working or we weren't going to school, we would collect cans. So we
Hey, I want to hear the story about Miss Bonilla.
hold on.
Bonilla.
So we'd go dumpster diving, right? So we'd go through the whole labor camp going dumpster diving, finding cans. So one time I was able to like get a big old bag full of cans. So Carlos is like, I'll take you to go get
Recycle.
get it recycled. So I was like, all right, yeah. So I go and I take the cans and I got $10 out of it, right? So then Carlos is like, hey, what are you gonna do? Let's go buy some food. So I was like,
Pizza.
All right. So he took me to Domino's.
No, it was Mountain Mike's.
I remember, but he took me to a pizza place and the freaking pizza was $10. So there goes like 10. He's like, just get it. I was
we
like,
all ate.
I was like, all right. Oh, we all ate. It was just me and him. I just worked all this freaking days to collect this bag of cans and he's
No
like,
drink? No drink?
No drink.
Just-
I don't remember if we had a drink, but he's like, let's go buy a pizza. I was like, all right.
Well, $10 would go a long ways back then.
Not for a $10 pizza.
It was delicious though.
It was delicious though. Mountain Mike's Round Table was there too.
I never got any of that pizza.
Dang, that's
Nah.
crazy.
Steven was sleeping with cats on the roof or something.
Yeah, that happened to us. Well, no, it happened to you too. You got down. We were up on the roof and we found a litter of kittens and we brought them up. We were watching the stars. I was see. So
We were sleeping on top of the roof, and you brought it was like 5 little kittens, and we all
He found a litter of
more
kittens.
Yeah, and then we were all giving them milk that night, and then in the morning we woke up.
I wasn't up there.
You didn't. We weren't.
I didn't sleep up there. No. You
Well,
guys.
I always thought it was you.
No, it was Luis.
It was me, Luis. I think Mario's little brothers were there.
Yeah, they were.
El Ricardo y el Meñito.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then these
And
fools
Mario.
came down the next morning, like all like
all full of crap, dude.
the
All
cats,
over us.
the cats all over their freaking.
all over us, dude. Yeah. Yep. Didn't like them cats.
Like this guy.
It was pretty, yeah. I'm glad I didn't sleep. I slept in my bed.
Like, that's why I'm a dog person now.
So Miss Bonilla. So what are you saying?
Everybody had the hots for her.
But she was the one would always be defending everybody because she was the only Mexican aide there, and everybody else was.
Majority of the teachers were all white too.
Oh dang.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Bow to the king, thank you. Bow to the king, thank you.
Oh, I remember that.
So he would grab us from the wrist,
Pavlovich.
and he would go, and then he would bend our wrist outwards,
Make you
bend over or bend down.
Bow.
now. Not bend over, Steven.
He was making us bend over, and he would say, "Bow to the king."
But he wasn't.
It was
He
funny
wasn't
because
behind
you
us,
were the
though.
only one that would do it backwards. Everybody else was forward.
It was weird that he had me like this.
Yeah. And everybody else had him in the front.
and my head was on the wall. He would literally twist your arm así, and it would make you bow. And all the kids liked it, so they would get in line.
For him to
Pero a veces,
punish you.
dude, yeah, pero a veces he would do it hard. It would
Like
freaking
fast.
hurt you. Yeah, it would freaking hurt you.
That's wild.
That's all I remember about him.
in the summer of 1993, what was it? June what?
June
June
21st.
21st,
Dang. you guys-
Eee.
1993.
So June 21st, it was after my freshman year. I had just got done with school on Friday, and then I had 2
Sunday
days.
was Father's Day.
I had 2 days of summer, and then on Monday, we decided we're gonna go with the church to go practice softball, and then so me and Steven decided to ride with Carlos. So we're with Carlos.
No,
and
you decided to ride with Carlos. I was already inside the van.
Both of you were.
And when I saw you go with Carlos, I asked my mom, "Oh, can I go too?"
oh, okay.
Like I wasn't. No, he wasn't in the van. He was coming out of the house when he saw you,
Oh.
and you went straight in the car.
Anyway, I don't remember it.
How I remember it.
That's Modelo.
Yeah, Mandela effect.
So, anyways, we were in the car. Me and Steven are in the back seat, and as we're going, I was like, I'm gonna put my seatbelt on, And it was a lap belt because it was the older car in the '90s, and they didn't.
2000. No, it was a 1991 Ford Tempo.
By 2000, it was in 1993.
2000. 1991.
we went to the
Ford Tempo.
future, got a car.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was right after the movie Back
Went
to
to
the
go get a
Future.
classic.
So
a classic
So,
bike.
anyways, I put on my seatbelt, and then he saw that I put my seatbelt on, so he decided to
After
quit.
a while, I was playing with. I just got a new puppy.
Oh yeah, he had a dog too with him.
So I had a. I don't know why he had a pillow in the car. So I had a pillow, and I saw him put on his seatbelt, and he kind of like leaned back to knock out. I just kept playing with the dog. Y así quedó. Así empezó, and then I was like, I'll just put on my seatbelt también. We were never accustomed. Our parents never told us to put on our seatbelt. Did they? No.
Well, the van that my dad had didn't have a seatbelt.
Not really.
Yeah, we had cars with no
We
seatbelts.
couldn't because there wasn't
There's no
any.
seatbelt.
Yeah.
We had a Cougar that had the back of the seat and the top. We would get up there to sleep
Yeah.
where the back of the window was.
Window, yeah.
So anyways.
But anyways, I put on my seatbelt just because I saw him put on his seatbelt.
So I fell asleep, and from what I remember,
I don't remember.
from what I remember, was I heard the tires screeching. We were on a 2-lane highway. I remember the hearing the sound of the tires screeching, and when I woke up, I remember us going towards an RV, and then all of a sudden I blacked out. So I black out, and then I come to again. Like I wake up and I can't breathe. I'm like, and the little that I can breathe, I can smell burning tires, like burning
smoke?
tires and oil, and I'm like, ugh, and like I can't breathe. So then I kicked the seat up in front of me, and I get out of the car. It was a 2-door car. It was only 2 doors. It wasn't 4 doors. So I had to push the seat up. I was able to. At first, I was struggling with the seatbelt. I took it off, kicked the seat. I got out, and I remember getting out of the car, and then I blacked out again, and then
Just laying on the floor.
He passed out on the asphalt.
middle of the freeway, middle of the highway, and then when I came to again, I had like a blanket on me, and I was like, what
A
the
white
heck?
blanket.
Yeah, I was like, what the heck happened? And I remember like my stomach hurting. And then I remember looking back and I could see the car and I could just see smoke coming out of the car. And then I was like, what the heck? And then all of a sudden I hear ambulances and then I see a helicopter coming down. And then I ended up getting medevac. I got put on a stretcher, taped up and everything. I got medevac. But that's what I remember. But this fool was the one driving. So you got to tell what your point of view of that was. Because
And then I had my point of view because I saw the whole thing too. Because
Yeah. And then
I
I
like
think
the way he drive.
after Modelo's, it'd probably be a different point. Anyways. No, see, Sunday was Father's Day, and I didn't get paid until Monday. but I didn't have any money to take my dad out or whatever. So we worked in San Jose. So we lived in Hollister. We lived in San Jose. So in order to get to San Jose, you had to pass through Gilroy, which that's where my parents and they lived. So Sunday we went to work, got paid. I'm driving back, and I'm already past Gilroy. I'm in the middle of the highway from Gilroy to Hollister, and then I go, you know what? I'm gonna go back and see my dad wants to go eat since I didn't give him nothing for Father's Day. So I drive back, and as I'm driving up the driveway, my dad's getting ready to leave to go to Hollister. And he goes, well, we'll see you over there. We're already going over there. I'm like, all right. And then that's when Prieto and Steven saw me, and they jumped in my car. So we start driving, and as I'm driving, there's a car that got in front of me that was going a lot slower. They didn't speed up to the speeds of the highway. So I went to pass him.
Let me just say the car was going to speed limit. It was just him that was wanting to go faster.
No. The police report says differently. But anyway, so I jumped over to pass, and then as I saw from distance, there was a motorhome that was parked on the shoulder that was broken down.
On the opposite direction.
Facing the direction against where I was going. So I was like, I didn't see there was going to be an issue. The road was open. So as I'm passing, I'm right next to that car. And then all of a sudden behind the motorhome, there was another man. He had a Dodge Dakota. He got it off the trailer and then jumped into the lane looking the opposite way to make sure there was no cars. But he never expected anybody coming in his lane. So as I'm passing, I looked over to see if I was clearing this car over here. And all of a sudden I looked back and that truck's in front of me. So I slammed the brakes, and well, obviously we had a head-on collision.
It was too late.
Oh. Yeah. It was a head-on collision. And I remember as I got close to him, I turned as much as I could. And basically as to close your eyes, you receive the impact. Next time I open my eyes, the hood is almost covering the whole entire windshield. And I see the guy in the truck, he got out of the truck and started running. And so I figured, this fool wants to run. So then I opened my door and I tried to go out, and my legs didn't respond. And I was like, what the heck? So I looked at my legs.
That's when I pushed you.
No, that was before that.
Oh.
That was right before, because that was just happened instantly. And then I tried again, and my leg wouldn't respond. So then I grabbed my leg, and I noticed my whole leg was all like swollen up like that. So I shattered my femur. Because what I did, I locked my
on the brakes.
Yeah,
like
slamming on the brakes, the compression, it broke my femur. And then after that is when I started feeling the kicking of the back of the seat. And
I wanted out.
He got out, and then
Nothing happened to you?
No, well, I pushed him off. I pushed him forward, and he kind of yelled like, "Hey, wait, espérate, menso." But all I wanted, like he was like suffocated. But I saw the whole thing. Like as soon as he started passing, because they were fast drivers, but he was driving how he was supposed to. But as soon as I saw him passing, I put the dog down below, and I was looking over, around his head,
over his shoulder,
over his shoulder, so I could see so I can look at the road, and that's what he saw is what I saw too. And then, but after all the impact he told and I was telling him I needed to get out because I couldn't breathe, like he couldn't breathe, until finally I pushed him forward and he yelled like, "Hey, man, so espérate."
And same thing with me. Like I never used to put my seatbelt on. But those Fords, I don't know if you remember in history books. Mm-hmm. There used to be cars where they had the automatic seatbelt.
It was an 89. Your car
was that it would go like on the.
It was a 90 or 91.
Oh, yeah, it would be on the door, and it would.
When you close the door.
Yeah, it would close the seatbelt, but only the shoulder one, the lap one.
And then the lap was optional.
Yeah, it was optional. So that's the only reason I had somewhat of a seatbelt, because of that one thing. And there was no airbags back then, so there's nothing to deploy. So by the time he wanted to get out, kind of lean forward, I couldn't respond with my legs broken. He got out, and then he got out. And it was kind of, I don't know if it was a coincidence or just whatever, but all of a sudden cars started pulling over, and there were nurses that had just finished their shift from the big hospital in Gilroy. So they knew right away what to do. And the blankets that you're talking about, they got him off out of the RV.
The lady from the RV.
So he collapsed. So they kind of put him in the back of the car.
No, that's where he collapsed.
That's
behind
where
the
I fell.
car.
I fell
in the back of the car.
Behind the car. I only took like a few steps and I passed out.
So then they're putting a sheet over him, and then all of a sudden it was only a 2-lane highway. That's pretty busy highway. So the traffic got back pretty quick. Us without even knowing, my mom and dad, and my family were right behind us. And
They didn't see the collision, but they're like coming up to
The traffic, yeah.
the aftermath.
So they're looking, according to what my dad and my mom say, they said that my dad was driving, and then all he could see was the little brown dot. And my dad just kind of like stayed silent. My mom's like, please tell me it's not them. Please tell me it's not them. My dad couldn't even respond. He was just looking at him. And as they're driving up, they're covering this fool. And they're thinking,
They're
oh
covering him
my
up with the
God,
blanket.
somebody
Yeah.
died. And they
thought it was a dead body.
They thought it was me because I was in the front. They knew it was a male, and they thought it was me because I was the one driving. And he goes, oh my God, somebody passed away. And then Steven was laid down next to him, and they told him, and then my parents passed. Like, I was literally stuck in the car because I couldn't move. And I saw my dad and my mom drive by, and you could see their faces. The girls were all crying. Alva and
Alva got off. Alva was down.
yeah.
So they
pretty
drove
crazy.
past us.
Yeah.
And then they got off.
Well, yeah, they
I thought they had
past
gotten
us.
off before.
No,
Alva did. Alva got off before and she ran.
They passed. He passed and then parked on the side, and then they walked over there, and then the officers were like, "No, you need to stay back." And then Elvis like, "They're my family. I know their names. I know everything." So they kept her and interviewed her.
Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I don't even remember them. I don't remember seeing anybody afterwards because all I remember was after I woke up on the floor, the paramedics were there, and then they put me on a stretcher thing.
They put you and the driver of the truck of the vehicle.
Yeah,
there,
they put me on. They put the neck brace. They got me on the stretcher, and then they were taking me to the helicopter to medevac me, and then they're like, we're gonna put this over your face so you don't get none of the dust come up. So I was like, all right. So they put this sheet over my face, but everything was coming underneath the blanket, and it was still going in my face, and I couldn't do anything about it because I was tied down like this. So I was like, anyways,
they closed the whole highway, and I mean, you can just imagine they closed the whole highway. The helicopters landing, 3 ambulances showed up, and the first one that got there was a highway patrolman, and he said when he got the call on the radio of a head-on collision, he was expecting somebody dead. And when he came, he goes, "What the? You guys are all good?" He goes, "That's as good as we can be." He goes, but nobody's dead." Because it's usually there had been a lot of accidents of head-on collisions.
They're always
dying.
Was the other guy also going fast?
No.
luckily
He had just started driving. He was probably, they caught him, like he said, he was like about 15 miles an hour. My impact with him was like about 23, 25 miles an hour. And even at that speed, it did that much damage to both of them and myself. And a little bit faster, I think it would have been.
Yeah, you think
it would've
like
been
sometimes when
shocking.
you're driving 25 miles an hour, even now, it feels like it's nothing. But
the impact.
yeah, you hit something. It's
No
gonna hurt
airbags
you.
or nothing at that point. It's just, and then the cars were built a little bit, stronger back
Yeah,
then. It was more of a
more metal.
impact. Yeah.
So what ended up happening is because of the lap belt, all of my stomach muscle and some of my intestines got yanked sideways. So when they flew me to the trauma center in San Jose, they got me down, and first thing they did was like cut up my clothes. And I was like, no, not my favorite shirt, because I had like a wrestling shirt on. They cut it up.
Yeah, it was a Dallas Cowboy jersey.
Oh no!
Hell no. Anyways, so they cut it up, and then they had me sit up, and then they felt my back, and I had like a ball, a ball on my back. So I touched it. And have you had this before? And I was like, nah, I don't know what the heck that is. And so pretty much all of my stomach muscle got yanked to the back, and some of my intestines got yanked down too, and just tangled up in there and stuff. So it was all internal. I had like my forehead was all pink and stuff from hitting the seat in the front of me. And then I had like the seatbelt burn, and 2 weeks in the hospital, and then they finally did surgery. And then after surgery, they left like my stomach, the top layer open. So I got to show you the video. Yeah.
Nope.
That's crazy.
I got to show you the video of my stomach, dude, when it was all open. It's pretty graphic. And so they left it open so to heal from the inside out. So it was like that for almost a year.
No.
And then I had to have a second surgery for like a reconstructive surgery,
Get rid of all this scar
where they
tissue.
cut all that tissue and then put my kind of like almost putting my belly button back
And
together.
you got to go home in that time or no? Like
Yeah.
you were in the hospital the whole
My
time.
mom was
My mom was a
curing
nurse.
the
Well, I was in the hospital for 30 days. So it was 2 weeks and then surgery. And then I was there another 2 weeks. And then they finally let me go home. And then I was going to school like that. I would just bandage it up and pat it. And then I would go to school. But like people were like, what happened? Because I was all skinny. I lost like 35 pounds. I was like all flaco and
After being a linebacker the
Ethiopian.
year before.
playing football and stuff.
Oh,
like
really?
being like all talking to you like just like todo chupado. This fool too. So he had like similar injuries as well. 'cause
I had it
of
on
the seatbelt.
my small intestine.
Well, they released you because
They released
there's
me the
nothing
next
wrong
day.
with you. You're just
So let me tell
They
you.
took
about,
him. They took all of us to different hospitals.
Yeah. So let me tell you about about feeling thirsty, like really thirsty.
Yeah.
So my mom, my dad picked me up because they're
Thirst
like,
traps.
That's where the Modelos came in.
that's where my delos came in.
That's
handy.
the Modelo effect.
So everybody was split out everywhere. He was in Hollister, he was in San Jose, I was in Santa Clara. And so they picked me up because they're like, oh, nothing's wrong with you, you know, you're going home. And we were literally walking like old people, like all hunched, like
my
yeah,
God.
like I couldn't straighten out my back because that's how bad the injury was. And so they sent me home. My parents picked me up in their van. My dad's orange and white van.
The popular orange and yellow.
yeah.
van.
Yeah.
Orange and white van.
Yeah. So my mom, my dad, they picked me up with that. So it took me 30 minutes for me to be able to climb into the van because it was hurting that bad. Like my back was hurting so bad. So they put me in there, and then my mom and my dad are like, "Well, we're gonna go visit Eli." Because San Jose and Santa Clara are literally like 10 minutes away.
Right next to each other.
Yeah, right next to each other. So they go over to his hospital, and my mom and my dad's like, "You want to get off with us?" And I'm like, I couldn't even get up here, and I can't even walk. I said, "No, I'll stay here. I'll wait for you guys." And this was in the summer, right? But it doesn't get as hot as it does here.
That's here, yeah.
And so my dad opened the windows and the side windows, and 10 minutes go by, 20 minutes go by, 30 minutes go by, 40 minutes go by, an hour goes by. My parents aren't back. And I'm like feeling my dry throat, dude. I'm like trying to like, man, I need water. And I was like, help, started yelling, help. Finally, like these ladies would look at me like, what the weirdo, you know, they'd take off. Finally, this one guy, it was after an hour I had been sitting there, and I don't have the strength, and my back was hurting so bad to open the door to try to get out and walk into the hospital. I didn't have the strength because I was in so much pain.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, this man brought me a cup and full of water. Y me lo tomé luego, and I was like, can I please have more? And he's like, well, I gotta go. And I'm like, dang. And then like 10 minutes later, my parents showed up. So anyway, so they sent me home.
He's like, I can pee in it if you need me to.
Yeah. So they sent me home, and I was like trying to like eat, but I couldn't. I kept throwing up. And finally, on the 7 days after they released me, my sister called my mom because I was in so much pain. My sister Alva called my mom, and she was in Hollister visiting him in Hollister at the hospital because he had surgery on his femur. And and he was still in San Jose in the hospital. And so my mom finally got to the house, and I'm just balled up, crying, and I couldn't stand the pain. And they bring me to the hospital. My mom takes me to the hospital in Gilroy, and she like tries to explain everything that happened to me and stuff. And so they did an X-ray and ultrasound, like a CAT scan kind of. And the doctor's like, yeah, he's gonna have to go in emergency surgery. So I had an area on my intestine that was that it was smashed.
The way I remember,
No, you remember wrong.
the way I remember is that you were at home, and then my mom was with me in Hollister, and then she had just gone back to the house, and then they got an emergency call from the hospital where Prieto was, because then they found out that his large intestine had been leaking, and they needed to rush him in there in emergency, and they needed my mom and my dad there to sign because he was a minor.
Yeah, that might have been another time though.
No.
Yeah.
So then they rushed to San Jose, and they didn't even wait for my mom's to sign because they thought that he was going to die. So they started the surgery without my mom's consent.
No, dude, that's not how it
Oh,
happened.
you're off.
Yeah. And
My
then
surgery happened 2 weeks after I was there.
I know.
But he got sent to the hospital 7 days.
Yeah, 7 days.
after the accident. So his incident happened first. He was in
before
hospital
him.
first before I got surgery.
So he got the surgery first.
Yes,
Yeah.
I got surgery first.
So then why did they? Because I know they left to go see you, and then because mi tío
Así
Jose,
estaba,
mi
dude,
tío
it was
Jose,
constantly.
my tío Jose and Alva took you to the hospital,
No,
and then they had to rush back to come sign
They-
for you because you had to go get
they
a
they
surgery.
waited. My mom was with you. My dad had to come. They came, and my mom took me to the hospital.
Dude, you were probably like high on morphine. You
Probably.
think
Dude,
you're
I don't think Alva didn't even have a driver's license.
No, mi tío Jose was there.
No, I don't even.
Mi tío Jose,
I don't even
mi tía
remember mi
Silvia.
tío Jose being there.
What do you mean that they were there the whole time? We were.
I don't. Like I said, I don't remember. All I remember is that my mom.
I don't
took me to
remember
the
them being
hospital.
there till after I watched the video that they
Yeah.
were there.
You guys were high on morphine.
So yeah,
Dude,
So after-
morphine, Demerol, Tylenol 3.
Dude, I can't
Name it.
imagine that.
'Cause I was-
femur thing.
allotted.
I was in the hospital for 1 week.
I don't think they had the lauded back
From
then.
the accident to the day I got released was 1 week. The I got there Monday night with the ambulance. Next day in the morning is when the doctor gave me the option. He goes, either I can operate and put a metal rod in your femur with 2 screws, or I can put a nail on your ankle and a weight and then cast you from the hip all the way down to your ankle. I don't like casts. I can't stand being like that. So I was like, no, just go ahead and operate. So I was there for a week, 7 days.
The testicle.
7 days, and then that's I got released after 7 days, and that's when you got really sick after I had just gone back. So I don't understand how you say that.
How did you get
7 days?
You were only in the hospital 7 days.
7 days.
So they did the surgery and then they let you go.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, that's probably why my mom was over there. They're probably getting you out of the hospital, or you were getting out of the hospital. But I remember when
Dude,
my
I'm
mom
telling
came.
you, I was at the house.
Dude, me pasó a mí, no te.
I know.
Like,
I was
vividly there.
I was at the house, and that's when my mom said, "Necesitamos irnos para San Jose." They told me they said it's an emergency.
you're
They
high on
needed-
drugs.
yeah,
bro.
that was afterwards. Dude.
Yeah.
So it might have been. So when you left, they
We'll have
probably
to get my mom then.
no. Probably when they dropped you off at the house, my mom said,
Let's call her.
Go to San Jose. It was with me. But anyways, I remember my mom because I was crying to Alva.
I was
telling
already
Alva in pain.
already at my mom's house when they took you to get operated.
at my mom's house.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they took me to the hospital. I had after 7 days after the car accident, and they did surgery, emergency surgery, and then they released me. Alva had warmed up. My mom told Alva to take out the carne molida to make carne molida with corn. And Alva threw my mom used to buy the big family packs, and she threw it inside the microwave to defrost it, right? Well, she forgot about it and practically cooked the whole thing almost inside. I don't know where you guys were at. I think you were still in the hospital. No, I don't know where you were at. Anyway, so Alva had to make the
You were
whole.
running up the hill.
Alva had to make the whole.
I was going,
whole thing.
Richie.
So Alva had to make
He was
the whole
cutting
meatloaf.
apricots.
Ya pues. Les pedoy. Anyways, and so she had to make carne molida, and then she's like, Steven, eat as much as you can. You know, mom's gonna get mad, and I'm like, oh, all right, cool. So I'm like freaking munching down on carne molida, and those are the apricot fields we used to work at.
Okay.
Ahí.
No way. Is that the labor camp too?
The labor
No, they
camp
didn't
is
show
up
the
in the
labor
hill. They
camp.
didn't show the
Show the
labor camp.
Whack.
Yeah. Who do you love
Hey,
me?
we're gonna get copyrighted.
I didn't know you were still recording.
All right, so we just called my mom, and she confirmed that Steven was wrong.
So was Eli.
I didn't say I was.
You
wrong.
said it took 2 weeks.
Okay, it felt like 2 weeks. I mean, I'm freaking high on.
Felt like
drugs.
7 days.
You would too if you were high on drugs.
Yeah, on
It
morphine.
took you what, 9
Actually,
days? And it
Demerol.
took him 10 days?
10 days. Yeah,
You were on the
No.
9th and he was on the 10th.
about 9 days surgery. Yeah.
9, 10.
It's still crazy.
And I was on the 2nd day.
Second day you got surgery.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, all right. Well, I want to thank Carlos, Steven, and Daniel for joining me today for the DIM Studios podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and until next time, adios.
Peace.